On today's episode of Wellness on the Rocks, my guest is the founding architect of Studio Rallou, leading the design of highly detailed, story-driven hospitality spaces across San Diego. She has worked at top firms such as Nest Architectural Design, Basile Studio, and GTC Design. Her portfolio features projects such as Rare Society with Trust Restaurant Group and the newly opened Kiku Room, a hi-fi listening bar and cocktail lounge in Little Italy. Today, we talk about her journey from growing up in her family's pizza restaurant in Maine to studying architecture at Syracuse University. She shares how she approaches designing homes, restaurants, and chefs' personal kitchens, as well as the deeper side of design, from empathy and finding your creative voice to the challenges of running a small business in 2025. Welcome to Wellness on the Rocks, Ralitsa Kombakis.
We can do whatever we want.
That's the cool thing about when you have your own bar or you have your own fucking podcast is like the creative freedom and control, you know?
Yeah.
Which I really
Have
like.
you gone past the hating your own voice? Or are you not one of those people?
My first episode, I was like terrified to look at.
What about listen to?
I just remember pulling up the footage being like, oh, actually, yeah, no, it's a good point. I did hate my voice before I started doing this. And
So many people say that. They're like, I cannot, it makes me cringe.
But the thing is, once you kind of like get over that aspect and you hear yourself, it's like it's just relaxing. Like I actually,
You're like, no, that's me.
People have always said that I have this like unique voice, and I never.
You have like a raspier, deep voice, and I think deeper voices are more calming.
Really?
Yeah, in general.
I always hate. I don't know why. It's like the imposter syndrome thing we were just talking about. I always fucking hated the way I sounded.
Yeah.
But then I hear it on the podcast, and it's like our voices sound different than us. I'm like, oh, it's okay, so I don't care anymore. No.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's just natural.
Have you worked through like certain like video tics that you do, or that I feel like because I'm a fidgeter. So honestly, this type of practice is really good for me because I like, you know, like the rubbing of your fingers or things like that. And I'm like, no, maybe this will be really good for me because I need more training like this.
Guests do say that I fidget and I just constantly moving. And it's like, you know what, dude, I'm this ADHD kid. That's like the concept of the podcast, Wellness on the Rocks. I think a big part of that is just like accepting ourselves and kind of, you know, we all have imperfections. And if you start something like this, that you're going to be this like Conan O'Brien, perfect talk show radio host, that's
not going to happen.
Yeah. That's like not how these things go. So
you'll just get disappointed.
Yeah. But it's fun. I love the creative process. I love learning things. I love learning things about myself and trying to grow. It's about growth. And, you know, I feel like you guys at Kiku Room are probably going to go through all these same things, you know?
I mean, every day is a learning thing. And it's crazy because people are like, so after how long do you think that you guys can kind of like not be there? And it's so interesting because something comes up every weekend where I'm like, no, we had to have been there. Like we had to have taken care of that thing or monitored that or learned this or seen how this plays out in real life so that we can like grow from it. It's like one thing after the other.
Seriously, dude. It's like, and what I've learned, so I work at Cell Public House and those owners, they've been running this bar for 18 years and they had full bartender careers before that. And I still watch these guys in their 50s, things come up week to week that they've never experienced. And it's like
problem solving
and being in that state of like, I need to figure this shit out to make it work, dude. And it's like the people who last long in this industry understand that.
Yeah.
And then you have like investors who say, I'm going to put money into this bar and I'm not going to be there, touch it or know what's going on. And there's a lot of people who do that. But if you're someone like myself or like you and your partner, no, you got to fucking figure, it's like the problem solving brain is really important.
Yeah. And also one big thing that I've kept with me is like you have to be proactive, not reactive.
Yeah.
And I've learned that very early on in the architecture world because you have to be prepared in general. Think about what the person is about to ask you next.
Yeah.
Which is like such a mind fuck because you're like, God, I'm just trying to focus on now.
Just planning for the future. I know. Yeah. If it's like procrastination and just, I think that was a big problem for me starting this podcast is like I waited till the last minute to do everything. But like the way this thing goes better the more prep I put into these episodes, the better they go.
Love that.
And that's kind of like the same thing with like a bar or a club too.
Love that for you.
So how did you grew up in Maine?
I grew up in Maine, very cold state. My parents came from Greece, both of them. They were both born in the country, and they came to America following the American dream. They had 3 kids, and they originally were in Massachusetts, and they got this opportunity to buy an old ice cream shop and turn it into a pizza shop. And they didn't have enough money. So my dad and my mom looked at my dad's siblings, 3 other siblings, and said, you guys want to go in on this with us? And 2 of them were in, and they all ganged together, all 4 of them, and got some money from my grandfather, my dad's dad, on the down payment for the ice cream shop. Turned it into a little pizza restaurant, and 30-something years later, they just sold it in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Same place.
What part of Massachusetts?
I was born in Methuen.
Methuen. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a big Greek community in that area.
Okay.
And I think we moved to Maine when I was like 3, something like that. I don't really have any memory of Massachusetts. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. And so you kind of like grew up like understanding like being a child and your parents are running this restaurant. You see sort of like the behind the scenes day-to-day stuff that it takes to run a successful small business.
It's a hustle.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my parents were like the stereotypical good cop, bad cop. My dad was the softie who gave people a lot of chances. And my mom always had to be the more strict one, a little bit more organized. And she was always looked at as bad cop because she had very strict policies of like, you know, fool me once, you know, the shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me type situation. But I think that I learned the best of both worlds on their side. My dad was super empathetic. My mom was a little bit strict, but organized, you know, like, so it helped make me who I am.
Yeah, dude. Did your parents, you said they're Greek. Did they grow up in Greece or America?
They grew up in Greece.
They grew up in Greece?
Yeah.
Wow.
So my dad came over when he was in his late 20s and my mom came over when she was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned working in restaurants, dude, is like, it's an industry, like, I don't want to say built on immigrants, but it's so many of the people I've worked for are either first or second generation into America, and their work ethic and what they put into the restaurant, like their day-to-day jobs, it's taught me a lot.
I mean, if you're a first generation American and you sprinkle in that you're also from like New England, like the hardest worker.
Yeah.
We need to source
seriously.
all of our employees from that area.
Like I've worked with predominantly Hispanic and Irish people who have either grown up in Ireland or Hispanic countries or second generation. And like, it makes me, it's definitely been a good experience. Like the people that the coworkers and bosses that I had, I've built my work ethic from working around these people.
Yeah.
And you see a different side of, I don't know, life, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about relativity, right? Because those people probably have something to compare it to. So they're more appreciative.
Yeah.
So people who grow up in a situation where this is all they've ever known, it's almost not their fault that they can't compare it or relate it to anything else to understand what growth is, right? Yeah.
I find that, I don't know. I think some people, we take a little bit for granted in this country sometimes.
100%.
And I think it's been a privilege for me to have worked around people who have, like, you know, come from other places of the world where, you know, my Mark Prendergast, my owner, he grew up on a farm in Ireland. And, you know, he came over to America. I don't know his whole story, but like the work ethic that he puts into this job in 18 years, busting around that bar is like, you don't see many guys doing that. So, you know, you give these guys props.
I love those glow up stories of people who just like persevered and did not give up and failed a million times. And then they're here, they're present, and they're still going. Like you meet those people who are like successful and you're like, you could quit. You're good. You know, you could sit cush on some money and like live a good life, but they just have this like drive in them to just like keep fucking going. And I love that.
I think what that is like you build your whole identity around failing at things. And so in order to succeed, well, you don't build your identity around failing, but because some people have failed so much, they put so much into like trying to succeed that stays with them for the rest of their lives.
Like in their brain.
Imprints on their DNA or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
But so after, you know, you're in high school working for your family's pizza shop, what made you want to go to study design at Syracuse?
I didn't.
Okay.
I was an art kid, and my parents, immigrant parents who have busted their ass for such a long time, basically said, "You're not going to art school. I'm so sorry." So my parents were like, "Why don't you try something that's kind of adjacent, right?" So in my senior year, I signed up for an AutoCAD class that again, very privileged that I went to a high school that offered something like that. And I loved it. I loved sitting on the computer and like nerding out, building these 3D models of like seeing things in floor plan, section, elevation, just getting to be like fully creative. And it's funny because at the time, you know, when you apply to college and you have to write an essay, and there's usually like not a prompt. I wrote my entire college application essay to Syracuse about playing The Sims, the computer game. Not even kidding you. And I wrote about how I loved building the houses. I did not care for living the Sims life where you like drop the people in the pool and all that stuff. And the idea that you can just have these internet tools, computer tools to just like take what's in your brain and make it real was so cool to me, because architecture was drawing back in the day. It was being an artist, right? Yeah. But now it's like all these tools, and I realize that my left brain and my right brain are both like equally active. Love the math aspect, love the art aspect. So architecture just kind of made sense.
Huh.
Yeah.
I think it's the way technology is advancing and stuff, and the way that people can connect. It's like, that's how I'm able to do this podcast.
Yeah.
Like you can create something and put it digitally that can touch somebody in France or Germany or any of these other cool countries. It's pretty crazy. So you go to Syracuse, and you said that was a pretty rigorous program, right? Didn't you say somebody like passed away who you were just from being overworked? Yeah,
she had like pneumonia and she hadn't slept and she passed away. But I almost quit. I'm not going to lie. First year was insane. I thought high school was pretty easy for me. I was a kid who really maybe gave 80% and still did pretty good just because I loved reading and I loved learning. And when I went to college, it was a hard reality of like, no, this is real school. You know what I mean? Like memorize 500 architectural historical landmarks, the year they were built, who built them, and where they're located. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, like, what is this for? You know? And it was a lot of information. And also going to a school that was an 8-hour drive from home was hard because you're like meeting new people, which takes such an emotional drain on you. And you're trying to like be in survival mode, basically. So it's like school, social, play, seriousness, not seriousness, care about your health, all this stuff. It's insane.
So maybe it sounds kind of like, I don't know, was there like part of your emotional like aspect to yourself and understanding that, do you kind of take that and put that into some of your design projects and how you think about that stuff?
Like the resilience part?
Like, well, you and I have talked about empathetic design.
Yeah.
And how like there's that new, what people are doing with designing buildings is thinking about the people in the spaces and not just how they look. So do you... I don't know.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Teenagers are really selfish people, right? And then you go to college, and studying something like architecture is something that almost like needs to be a mix of both, right? So empathetic design in general is pretty much listening without ego. That's what it is, right? You have a client or a problem, right? And you have to remove yourself. You have to say, how is architecture solving this problem? Whether it's a restaurant or you're doing urban planning or you're designing someone's house, your product is not really always for you, right? It's either for your client or for your client's client, which in a restaurant is a customer, right? Or their employee or something like that. So I really just think it kind of goes back to the ego, but you need a little bit of it to be successful. Like nobody starts their own business without a little bit of ego. You know what I mean? So I think it's like starting with that, but like keeping yourself humble enough to just be like, I'm using my intelligence as a tool.
It's a balancing act.
It really is, especially in our world with like the social media and all that stuff. And everyone's like, go out, do these PR things. And, you know, a lot of designers and architects are reserved. Like, I want to sit in front of a computer all day and work. And, you know, talking to people is not the easiest thing for me to do, but you have to do it, you know?
Artists, I found that artists often tend to be really introverted people.
Yeah.
And opposite of that, I meet so many introverted, quiet people who come into the bar who actually have these like really unique lives and are filled with all these emotions.
Yeah.
But they just don't necessarily know how to put it out or want to put it out.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest parts about me doing this platform.
It's so difficult. And it's crazy though, because it goes back to that imposter syndrome thing where I think that if you just do it enough, you're like, no. I am a licensed architect. I can do this stuff.
It's
you know,
like telling yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like I talk about this all the time. It's like positive self-talk.
Yes.
It's so important to just speak out loud, like
Yes.
like things that you want, things that you are going to do, things like I am a podcaster, I am an architect,
Yeah.
I am a bartender, I am an artist,
Yes.
I'm a creative.
I just got goosebumps.
Seriously,
I
but
love it.
it's so important because the unfortunate reality, what I see so many people at the bar is they do that, but they do it in negative ways. And they talk about themselves negatively.
I'm
and they
not
say,
this. I'm not that.
I'm ugly. I'm short. I'm fat. I'm unsuccessful. It's like, it's really hard to, flip that switch. And so I feel like I talk about Roxy Nafusi all the time, but I have her book up there somewhere.
Hiding.
It's called where is it? It's orange. You know what? I might have my mom, I think, took it from me. She walks my dogs. I saw it
Sharing
in her
books is
apartment this
important.
morning. But no, dude, I feel you. Yeah. So yeah, the balancing between being like creative and being empathetic and trying to connect and make art, but also that selfishness of succeeding and growing yourself in business and in art and financially and like networking. It's like, it's a lot, dude. I deal with that with the podcast. It's like my whole system here is I am learning about you and the people here in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of work into this and I try to get to know you. I want to showcase you and show what you guys are doing at Kiku Room because I think it's really fucking cool. I think what you guys have built there, that little nightclub, is that what you guys call yourselves?
Oh man, we're like a anomaly. We're a bar, we're your local dive, we're a music lounge, we're a hi-fi listening space. We're a mini club sometimes. We are just adaptable in all the right ways. But I think the most important thing is that you get a different flavor on whatever night you come.
Yeah.
You know?
And you guys have been open a month and a half, 2 months or so?
I think it's been like 6 weeks, yeah.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
I've been there like a handful of times.
Yeah. First impression?
It's cool. What I really liked about it is it's like small and intimate.
Yeah.
And you go downtown to some of those big nightclubs and I mean, you're waiting in the big lines outside. There's, you go up the elevators, the stairs, there's multiple rooms, bars.
It's overwhelming.
It's expensive. People are dressed in all these, you guys are, it's almost like you guys have like a mom and pop nightclub.
I love that.
Which is like really cool. And it's cool when I saw that Seth was your guys' GM because I've gotten to know him over the couple of years. He's been on the podcast as a guest and I love the dance house music, and I love that it's like you have one bar. There's a couple bartenders. Your bartenders have worked at other bars throughout the city, so people kind of know them, and it's like it does have that like familiar like touch to it, personal touch, which I thought was really cool. And so yeah, it's something that I connected with. So
I love that. I mean, we honestly just tried to build a space that was a culmination of all the things that we love. Like we love small dive bars. We love anything that feels like a warm hug and community. Community is so important because you move to these big cities and, a lot of people say meeting friends as an adult is like so difficult, right? So the idea of these like micro communities inside the larger network are so important of people who see your face, are familiar with you, can remember your name, and like we have a small staff, but that's important. We're not trying to rotate out a lot of bartenders because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it close, keep it family, keep it tight.
Yeah.
I was at San Diego Food and Wine Festival this past weekend. I was trying to work it for content. It went fucking terrible. I got nothing done. It was a disaster.
Because you were eating the food and the drink?
No, I was just so nervous being around these like top chefs from around the country.
No way.
James Beard Award winners, James Beard nominees. And they were like, go fucking interview these people. And I was like, I don't know what to fucking do here.
Oh, come on.
But the reason I said that is because I ran into one of your bartenders.
Which one?
I can't remember the guy's fucking name. What's his name? The guy with the guy with the bald head.
Lucky.
I ran into Lucky, and I had seen him a couple times at Kiku Room, and he just comes up, gives him a big high five. Oh, what's up, dude? I remember you. It's like you do have that, like you guys have that personal touch.
Is that a bald guy thing?
Yeah, I guess. Sorry, dude. My bad. I guess I'm bald too, so it's okay. But no, it's been cool, man. It's cool to see you guys, and you wanna try to support small businesses and new
Yeah.
people in the industry, because it's a very competitive industry. It's a really expensive industry. The restaurant industry right now, 2025, it's not in a good spot. The economy's down. People aren't spending. And businesses are, I feel like every other week I see in the headlines, like restaurants like closing down that have been here for 25 years, 15 years, all this shit. So what's cool about you guys are not very expensive either. Like I think you guys are doing $7 and $8 drafts.
Yeah, we really wanted to make it approachable. That was something that from the beginning, we were like, we're not going to be a $20 cocktail place, and we're going to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's working yet. So let's
one step at a time, dude.
One step at a time.
You know?
I think that's something also, people have brought that up, like our prices, but it's easier to start low and understand the dynamic. Look at the numbers. If it works, we're not here to make millions. We're here to make a place we love and for our friends to hang out.
There was a really popular, really nice cocktail bar that just shut down called Roma Norte.
Yes.
And they were
amazing praise too when they first opened.
It was a great place. Everything about that place was great. And in 8 months, unfortunately, they weren't able to make it happen. And I don't say that to talk trash on them, because
it's the reality.
I was rooting for those people. But
yeah.
The also reality is people our age, my age, who I'm a bartender. I can't afford to go out on a date and spend $22 to $20 plus on a cocktail for me in a date. A couple rounds, $80, $100 with tip. So you do see that shift in cheaper quality cocktails for people to go out and spend money and enjoy themselves and not break the bank.
Well, this is a little bit of a blessing for us, where we're a little bit off the beaten path a little bit.
Yeah.
So it helps. We don't have downtown rent. So we want to take advantage of that. We want to be able to give back in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of am really interested if you could just, so you graduated Syracuse, and then what brought you out to Denver? How did that whole thing happen?
So when I graduated, I had already had a job offer in the Hamptons before I even graduated, because recruiters would come up to Syracuse. It's a top 5 architecture school in the country, and they would poach people before they graduated to try and land them as soon as they left. And I had this job offer. I went down to the Hamptons. I interviewed with them. They loved me. It was not for me. I grew up in a town that had multiple country clubs, and our immigrant family, I've always felt a little bit like an outlier, in that community. And I felt that if I moved down to the Hamptons, I would be repeating that in a sense, and it didn't feel like a place of growth for me. So I declined the job offer. I went to Greece for 3 weeks. I did a reset. I came back home, and I was really thinking about what I wanted and what was important. And I wanted a place where I could be by nature, but I had to be close to a big city for work, right? So my college boyfriend and I at the time landed on Denver, and we saved $5,000, and we moved out there with no job. And interestingly enough, I just started volunteering. I was a big advocate for volunteering when I was younger. Habitat for Humanity, local events, Modern in Denver magazine was the place where I landed to volunteer my time. And they did a lot of promotional work with architects and designers. And I don't know if they actually had landed me the job or if I applied for the job, and because I knew the magazine, how the community is small. And I ended up landing my first job with Scott Parker at Nest Architectural Design, I think when I was like 22. Yeah.
And so what was that? What were kind of the projects you were working on there in Denver like?
We were doing high-end custom single-family homes.
Okay.
I remember I had worked on a chef's personal kitchen, and really, actually, funny enough that you bring this up, because that chef had given me my first client gift as a thank you. He gave me like a really nice bottle of red wine, and I told myself I wasn't going to drink it until I felt it was appropriate. And little me, I know nothing about wine. And apparently there's an expiration time or a certain time after you let it sit that you're supposed to drink it. And I kind of forgot about it. And just this year, we Googled the bottle of wine. It's like over $100. And it said that 2025 was the year to drink it.
Yeah,
and
dude.
I started my own business this year. We opened Kiku Room this year, and we just bought our own townhouse.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So
cheers.
we finally
Congrats.
drank the wine this year, which is crazy that you brought up that first job.
Yeah, dude. The celebratory moments. That's great. That's so cool.
Right. And I always was like, I'm going to hold on to this for a while. Thank God it wasn't past expiration.
Do you and your partner have is there like a date night cocktail spot that you guys like in San Diego that you kind of like have found that like, your spot?
God. We used to go to Craft and Commerce all the time because we lived in Little Italy and we loved the staff.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lauren. She's the best. And we moved to Hillcrest recently and we don't really have a spot that's like walking distance from us, but it's probably better for our wallets.
Yeah.
But now our whole life is Kiku Room. So that's our favorite cocktail spot.
Yeah, seriously. So you do Denver, and I think you said you were designing hospitals there too?
Yeah, so I decided I didn't want to work for the ultra rich anymore, and I wanted to do something that I felt was giving back, kind of back to my like volunteer mentality when you're so young and ambitious. And I wanted to help people more. So I wanted to design hospitals and medical office buildings, and I wanted to learn what it is that goes into these hospitals because as a user on the other side, I've always hated hospitals. I've always hated going to them. Usually when you go, it's something that's not good, right?
Yeah.
So I completely pivoted. I went from code-wise, designing a single-family home is like the least stringent. Designing a hospital is the most stringent. There's so many codes around it for health purposes. So I wanted to test myself and see, let's go do something really hard, see if I like it. And I did love it I did it for 3.5 years, and I thought it was really cool because there's this whole part of that industry called evidence-based design where people are actually doing studies that say if we put a person in a room that's colored black versus if we put a person in a room that has like biophilic leaves on the wall, who heals faster? And it's real study. It's rooted in science. And they come back with statistics and, results for designers that basically say, we've discovered these extra pieces in people's eyes now, and now everybody understands blue light and things like that, and how certain color temperatures affect your like rest and your healing. So all of that tied back in, and I thought that part was really cool because it was tangible. You can say, no, these are real reasons why we're designing something. We're not just designing a $1 million kitchen just to design a $1 million kitchen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're designing to help people, literally, to heal.
It's quite ironic in our country, though, because what ended up happening is I still was designing for the 1%. I was designing for these CEOs that cared a lot about patient bed turnover rate and how can we get another person in the surgery room and what's the quickest process to get someone from there to post-op to heal faster to get them out to get another patient in. I mean, we understand that like the business mentality is what keeps things afloat, but I think it just got in my head a little bit and I wasn't loving it anymore, You
were designing for like business and purpose aspects and less of the human people. Yeah.
Yeah. That was hard for me. So then I said, fuck it. If I'm going to work for the 1%, I'm going to go do some cool shit. You know what I mean? And that's how I ended up in San Diego.
So what you were working with in San Diego, I think it was Basile Studio. Basile Studio.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got a job offer pretty much 2 months after COVID hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was Basile Studio? They, from my understanding, Consortium Holdings, which is one of the probably biggest restaurant conglomerates in San Diego. They have over 20 plus bars. And they have these beautiful structure. I mean, their spaces are incredible. Mm-hmm. From what I understand is Consortium Holdings hires Basile Studio to create those spaces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they had a partnership for quite a long time where Arslan was hiring Paul to design all of his restaurants. And for me as an outsider, that's the stuff that designers dream about working on. Like you look at that and you're like, how do I get there? That's the goal, right? And that type of design freedom is a privilege, right? Because it's expensive and there's a price tag associated, but I wanted it so bad. And I came out, I interviewed, I got the job, and we jumped right in. It was so exciting. And Basile Studio is very unique in the sense that they build and fabricate a lot of the designs that they do in-house. So the best way to learn in general is hands-on, right?
Yep.
But if you're an architect and you're working on a computer screen here and you shoot your design off to a fabricator in their own office, and then they have to redo how it's built,
Yep.
and the information actually never comes back full circle,
Yep.
you're never really learning, right? Because there's no feedback. So what they would do is you design upstairs, you go downstairs, you see how it's built, and then the fabricators give feedback, and there's this loop. It's kind of like the full circle of the knowledge of the detail. And then the next time you design, you remember what you were taught. No, don't install it this way. Don't draw your detail this way. And it was like an acceleration program, honestly. Like you got to learn so much faster. And granted, it was a very high-paced environment and there was a lot of burnout. And I don't know, I thrived for a long time.
Damn.
Yeah.
And so you did that for, I think, a couple years?
3.5 years.
Were there any projects that we would know that you worked on?
So I worked on this castle project in Mission Hills for almost the whole time I was there. It was a very big project. It was a personal home in Mission Hills that was designed like a castle.
Oh, wow.
So that took up a lot of my time. I also was hired to work on Paul's first development project, which at the time was called Wall House.
Okay.
I don't know if it's still called Wall House. They're actually under construction right now.
Okay.
And when that gets completed, it's probably going to be one of the coolest homes in San Diego. I'm very, very excited that I got to be a part of that project. I also worked on the very early floor plan options for Paradisia over in Bird Rock.
That's a restaurant?
It's a restaurant.
I've heard of that. I've never been.
Mm-hmm. I worked on a project up in Rancho Valencia that made it halfway through and then kind of terminated.
And when you say you're working on these projects, you showed me some of your really intricate, intense plans and everything. Like, what are you specifically designing about those restaurants?
Yeah. So there's textbook 5 phases in design, preliminary design, where you sit and you talk about what's this project going to be, maybe some pencil sketches. You put together a style board of like what you want the project to feel like. It's usually just Pinterest pictures of inspiration.
Okay.
Once you get the sign off and the client says, yep, that direction's great, let's go. You go into schematic design. So schematic design is when you make your 3D model of the actual item or, project in a computer program, and you fly through the space, you apply materials, you show people what it's going to be like. Once you get the sign off on that, you get consultants on board, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, civil, structural, landscape, every audio, low voltage, visual, everybody.
You guys partake in doing all that? Or
we
help
usually
schedule
hire.
everything? Yeah, hire. Okay.
We usually hire.
You coordinate and set it up.
We pull the team together. Yep. And then we just start coordinating. We tell them the story. We tell them the process. We tell them what the end goal is. And then after we've coordinated where all the lights go, where all the outlets go, where literally all the data goes, anything you can think of, then we go into construction documents. We put all the details together.
Yeah.
We literally sketch it on the computer, and then we send it to the city to get approved.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And so the city goes through those documents. What department or part of the city is that, if I might ask?
It's the building department. They
have a building. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in larger jurisdictions like San Diego, they have their own building department. In very small towns, in the middle of nowhere, they usually outsource the review process to like a third party. But San Diego obviously is a big enough jurisdiction.
So it's like coding and zoning and all that stuff.
Yeah, so they have departments. So they have structural, they have life safety, they have planning, they have the water, they have mechanical, they have electrical, they have sewer. All the things.
What are some things that they would say? Like, have you ever been rejected by those?
Nobody gets accepted the first time. They have to justify their paycheck. So the city of San Diego, honestly, has been one of the most stringent review processes I have ever encountered in my 11 years of being an architect.
Oh, wow.
And so basically you submit your drawings and they come back with a round of comments. So I'll give you an example. So they'll say, that ramp at the front entry is not ADA. It's not 1:12 ramp ratio. The clearance at the bathroom door isn't enough, XYZ. Like they're double checking the work almost. Structurally, they might say, oh, what's this large hanging liquor shelf? Can you provide structural calcs for it?
Oh, wow.
So they want to make, it's for safety, right? We're here to protect people and make sure nobody dies in a building,
because
right?
if you don't know what you're doing and you do this, I mean, it could be catastrophic.
It can be catastrophic, but it's actually a big topic of conversation because you take so many exams to be a licensed architect, and a lot of people in some other cities right now are trying to implement something called self-permitting. So basically the architect takes liability and reviews their own drawings, which the city reviews the drawings, but the city takes zero liability. If they make you change something, it's still on you regardless. So now we're in a city of San Diego where you have to add 3 to 6 months extra to the development and budget that it's just so expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And then you have to make all that money back. And it's like,
Yeah.
So they say when you start a restaurant, there's usually a 2 to 3 years before you break even point.
Yeah.
I've worked for places where they can do it in 1 year. It's all dependent on so many things. But yeah, you start adding those up. I mean, I knew a guy who started a restaurant. He bought the building and then just sat there for a year.
Yeah.
And
it's real.
Like, you're paying either, well, if you buy the building, you're not paying rent, but it's just like, it takes, yeah. It's very
it happened with
process.
Kiku Room.
Really?
We were paying rent for a couple of years until we opened.
It's nuts.
We had to design it. We had to permit it. Permitting took almost a year for that project. And then we had to build it. And that's like another, 3 to 6 months.
It's a real investment.
It's insane.
And that's why, like, it's people think that you if you can get a little money, you could just start a bar. And it's just like, oh, we'll start. And like, people don't know the behind the scenes that go into these things.
I mean, I just commend like anybody who wants to look at that process and say, let's do it. Like, good for you, like we need
ambitious.
that. Yeah. I mean, heaven forbid the city would one day wake up and actually try and help people start businesses for our economy, but that's for another talk.
Yeah, no, I feel that. That's cool. It's cool to kind of learn what goes into behind the scenes with some of this stuff.
It's like a micro marriage. You sign up for this project, and architectural projects take years. So, this project in North Park I'm working on, we started designing this 2 years ago. Like, it's a micro marriage. Sorry.
So with all those other projects you've worked on, when somebody had the idea, how did you guys come up with the idea of Kiku Room? Where did that start?
So, gosh, I'm trying to think where it started. Well, my partner, Robert, he had this idea before we met, 5 years ago. And when we started dating, he had wanted to design a small music listening bar.
Okay.
We're both very obsessed with music. Friday comes out, new music Friday. I don't care if it's 6:30 a.m. Like, I just wake up and I can hear him playing the Spotify songs just to hear what the new tracks are. And it's been like that for years. And I think that when it's something that you're so passionate about, there's no way in your mind that you'll ever get sick of it, right? So he had that idea. It actually wasn't always called Kiku Room, but it was called something else that we all X'd out that I'm not going to mention. But the Kiku comes from the Japanese word to listen. So that's where Kiku Room came from.
Huh.
Yeah.
You could feel that place has like passion, and it's not just like a space to make money and to try to put like a capitalistic bar that tries to make money. So that's pretty cool.
I hope so. I mean, I hope we make money.
Right. You need to do both. Sometimes I walk into bars and restaurants and it just feels like a cookie cutter sports bar.
Yeah.
And it's like there was no personality or flavor put into this.
There's a lot of those.
And you know what? I know people who have been successful long enough in this industry and they've done the personal passion projects and they're like, we want to make some fucking money. So let's take this and multiply it by 2 and sometimes 3.
I know.
And it turns into that. And so there's the two sides to look at that. I'm not like shitting on that, but like, I think that like from a customer perspective, you do like you can feel the personal touch to what you guys had.
Yeah.
And so I guess like when you first walked into that space and you're thinking architecturally, do you remember like what went through your minds, like how you wanted to do, where the DJ booth and the bar to the left and you have that back area that's elevated? Like what were your first thoughts when you walked into that space?
What a shithole. That was my first thought. Well, you know what? I take that back because it used to be Kava Lounge, and that was actually the very first bar I went to when I moved here during COVID and COVID like ended. Kava Lounge was the first place I went to, and it had spirit already, but the layout was garbage.
Okay.
Right. The bathrooms, the doors opened up into the dance floor or into the bar, which is like big no-no. And the way that the space from the front to the back was separated was actually just stairs right in the middle. And there was no level of hierarchy. There was no mystery. So I took the bathrooms off the wall and I moved the stairs behind the bathroom so that when you first walk in, you see the backspace, but you don't quite know how to get there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of mystery. And that part comes from this like architectural thing I studied a long time ago where it was from urban planning. So, you know, if you make one big lake that's a circle, you can see the whole lake. There's no mystery. Man-made lakes are made in these like weird oblong oval shapes because if you can see that the water continues around a corner, there's a mystery to it. And there's also like this hierarchy, like, ooh, what's over there? There's curiosity, right? People love being curious, like keep everyone curious. And that's what I want to do in Kiku Room. Like you see this backspace, little hierarchy. How do I get there? What's going on back there? And it's fun. It's behind the DJ booth, you know?
It is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bars in Denver that were laid out like that, where you could stand behind the DJ booth.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I mean, how fun. You're not like actually in the DJ booth, but you're behind. So you feel like you get to be part of the background story.
Yeah. Seriously. It's like a little VIP.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Without the VIP culture.
Yeah. 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 Because that can get super, yeah. That's the one thing about the dance music and the club atmosphere that I don't really fucking like is all the status and the hype and the DJ and like it's like the music industry, the restaurant industry is turning into entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And you see that when I see some of these like DJ clips, they're just going so crazy on stage and they're throwing water and flames and it's like this euphoric experience. And they're taking, and I'm just like, I have always loved the music. Mm-hmm. And I love the creative aspect that with the visuals and like what these guys bring. Mm-hmm. But it's almost like there's the criticism that people get in the DJ world of some of those people aren't really doing anything. And like the press play DJs.
Yeah. We don't have that.
Yeah. And I just have always respected like the people who are like creatively working to, I don't know. Cause when you go out and you pay money to see somebody, I was going to go see Deadmau5 at Red Rock this past weekend. Mm-hmm. I had to cancel my trip, unfortunately. I was really fucking bummed about that. Damn. He retired the Cube. It was going to be his first show without doing that setup. I was really bummed. I did the San Diego Food and Wine Fest thing, which ended up being a total failure. So it was a fucking disaster of a weekend.
What did we learn? Music first.
Music. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a really good point. But like, I don't know I'm not a DJ. I don't know what those guys are doing, but I always do respect the people who are like trying to put on a show and creatively entertain.
Yeah. I mean, I think that something one of my really good friends just told me last week is she's a singer. She's always been a little bit on the shyer side. And she had this experience recently where she changed her mindset about it. And she said, no, I have a gift to give to people, and I should see that as something that's a good thing, not something to be embarrassed or shy about. And I think that goes back to even just Kiku Room. Like, I'm a creative, you know, Robert has a great music ear. Like, we have these gifts almost, you know, like let's do something with them and give back. And it's already paid back emotionally, like tenfold with all of the feedback we're getting from our community.
Yeah. You don't want to be selfish.
Yeah.
I used to think that if I had a creative thought or idea or a joke that I needed to like harbor it because I would like
protect
that
it.
Scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
But it's like what I've learned is you put it out because new ones are going to keep coming in. And there's this like ocean of creativity that we can like give out to the world.
Absolutely.
You know? And that has really helped me with this process. Because it's weird, dude. Expression's weird. It's a weird thing.
It is.
It's tough. I think that the last generation, it was like shut up and fucking just work and stuff like that. And I think like
that's how I grew up.
You grew up with immigrant
the hustle
parents?
Mentality. Yeah. Hustle mentality. I mean,
emotion is weakness and don't fuck, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I was such an emotional kid. I'm still an emotional adult. But again, you change your mindset and you're like, no, this is my superpower. And it goes back to the empathetic design. You know, it's like, this is why I'm good at what I do, because when I hear you, when you talk, I actually hear you. I'm not waiting for my chance to talk as a designer, right? And I ask what we call leading questions. You know, let's try and really uncover what the space is that you're really wanting to design, because a lot of the times when people come to the table, they're actually kind of chasing a feeling, not a design, right? They come and they say, I want to create a space that feels comfortable and feels cozy and it feels intimate, right? So it's a feeling. It all goes back to that.
People are trying to feel something. That's like so much of our life is not about how much money we make or what our life circumstances, but it's like how we feel about these things.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. And that's why you see so many really wealthy people who are fucking miserable and so many people who are middle, lower class who are like the happiest people in the fucking world.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, you know, the economy's in the shitter right now. You know, you want to be able to afford groceries and healthcare and all that stuff. But I do think about that sometimes, you know? Like our perception is what makes up our life.
It is. And community is so important. Just feeling safe in a group of people in general. And the concept of third space, psychologically, you have your home, it's your first space, your work is your second space, or I don't know if those are flipped. I think I got it right. And your third space is where you go to hang out. And that's what Kiku Room is. You know, that's what a lot of these local bars and restaurants are for people. And it's really important because we're so isolated in our homes and some people work remote. It's like having another place to just go and like sit and feel comfortable and safe is amazing. It's
really important.
Yeah.
And I think one of the concepts that I've, you know, gone back and forth with on this podcast, Wellness on the Rocks, is all about, you know, I talk about this a lot, but I've struggled with, you know, alcohol and the, you know, going too far into this industry and the drinking. And it's like, it can be too much, but that doesn't mean that like, it's like, I don't want to ever put out this, it's tough because I talk to people who have struggled with alcohol and addictions and drug addictions. And, you know, I struggle with that balance sometimes because I've seen it where it goes overboard with people and myself.
I've seen it too.
But you know, you also look at it from the other aspect as so many people are isolated and alone in this country, in the city, in this world. And like the ability to come out and express yourself comfortably and connect with people is like a really important thing.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I ever really felt like I was not living a textbook life of something that was placed upon me, right? Like I grew up in this town with country clubs and all of that. And you kind of live this rigid life and you feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you go to college and you still feel that way. You're like, everybody's doing this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you go out into the real world as an adult. And it's the first time there's no rules. No one's checking up on you. You got too many options that you really just need to ask yourself, like, where am I going to go? And when I was 22, 23, and I moved to Denver, the first place I found my community was a dance floor. And granted, I was probably a little club rat for too many years, but I felt it. It was real. You know, like Denver had this amazing small music scene that had this group called The 100 that my friend Brennan started to bring people together. And it was all about community. And I kid you not, it probably saved lives. So it's so important.
So with everything that we've just kind of been talking about, like what makes a project meaningful enough for you to say yes to?
So for me, I think that one of the coolest parts when clients come to me and there's like a story associated with a project, when I feel like it has soul, I want to be part of it because there's a lot of times that exactly what you said earlier, people are kind of turn and burning these dive bars that mean nothing. But for me, if somebody's like has a story, wants to bring something magical to life, I want to help them. You know, I want to be the person that makes their architectural dreams come true, right? Like in a sense, because again, it goes back to this is my talent. I got you. Tell me what you need. Let me make some parameters and like, let me fly with it.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And so, you are working on an up and coming project with the Trust Group and you're working with Marina Ferrara.
She is going to be the general manager of one of the projects. Yes.
And she's the one who introduced us.
Yep.
And she's a fucking rock star.
Truly.
What can you talk about that project at all? Or is it too early to talk about that? Or
I think that one needs to stay on the hush, but I can talk about the other one in North Park.
Absolutely.
That we're working on called Ala West. And that project, again, came with a story. Brad Wise is one of my favorite clients, and he wanted to create a project that went back to his original culinary roots of what he learned at school, which was French cuisine. So he is from New Jersey, came out to California. The project is called À l'Ouest, in French means to the west. So this is kind of like a merger of a lot of things that are very meaningful to him. And he's talked about how he was always waiting for the right time to open something like this, right? He's done his steakhouses, Fort Oak, all of these other amazing, beautiful projects, Cardellino, and now is his time to make that French restaurant happen. And I am just overjoyed to be part of it.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about that project because when people trust me to be creatively free, it is so cool. You know, granted, there's financial parameters and things that we have to stay realistic about. And Brad puts me in check sometimes on that, which is great because, you know, boundaries and limits are just a way to get more creative. Budgets as well, right? You just got to get more creative. You can still make cool stuff, you know, following certain parameters, but À l'Ouest is in construction right now, so that should be opening up in the next couple months.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And so, like, for that space, like, what were you, can you, like, specifically doing for them? Like, is it a big one bar, large, you know, what's that like? What's it going to look like?
Yeah, so this project is about a 4,000 square foot box that's been sitting vacant in the corner of 30th and University for years. It has been the home of, like, graffiti, you know, homeless sleeping in it. It's been boarded up, and it's got, I think, like 18-foot tall ceilings, something crazy. It's very tall. So we are working with a completely empty slate at that point, right?
Yeah.
So we had to look at a couple things. First of all, it's a corner condition. It's a very important spot in North Park. It's probably the busiest intersection over there. So we wanted to create a corner bar situation, indoor, outdoor. We are very fortunate. We live in Southern California and we have beautiful weather most of the time. And creating a spot that has an indoor, outdoor bar right on the corner. We knew we wanted to have a kitchen that had some windows so you can see into. We knew we wanted a private dining room. We knew we needed bathrooms, we needed back of house program, we needed an office and things like that. So we kind of just started laying out schematically what we're going to do with the floor plan. I have a bunch of pencil sketches that I actually recorded on a reel once of what my thought process was like. It's like, do you put the bar over here? Do you put the bathrooms over here? Do you put the kitchen over here? Do you put the PDR over here? Where's the entry? Which is more important, to have the entry on the west side or the south side? And it kind of massaged its way out very beautifully. I'm obsessed with the layout right now.
Yo, these are really big decisions that you're making.
I almost like when I think about it sometimes, and people trust me with their money, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yo.
But the project is beautiful, so, you know.
I was at a restaurant recently, and they have this big, beautiful case in the back, and then the bar is right in the case, in front of the case, and the bar is not fucking centered behind the bookcase. And I was telling my friend, I was like, dude, it's a couple feet, but it's like, I don't know.
It kills
like,
you.
I notice those things.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's like interesting to like, and it was a really nice restaurant. But another story about that, there's a really great bar that I go to. I'm not going to say which one it is, but I was talking to the person the owner of the bar. And they were telling me that it's this big, long, beautiful wooden bar. And he said that when we created the bar, they cut it too narrow. And that where the rail goes, where you place the drinks and you put the bar mat, that was where the ending was supposed to be. And it was just like
oh God.
a little 5 inches too narrow.
Oh God.
And I never noticed it beforehand, but it's a really narrow bar. And he goes, I wasn't here on premises when they made the cut. And it's like, dude, that bar's been around for decades.
They never fixed it?
Well, I don't know how you would fix that.
Yeah, I guess it would take a lot of time and money.
Well, I mean, it's think about that. It's a big piece of wood and they cut it too narrow. You can't just like add fucking wood to that.
Yeah.
That's a decade old mistake. And it was because of the guy in charge wasn't there when it happens. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like those little things that like the little details really do matter.
Well, you know, it's insane. I saw something online the other day about how many decisions an architect has to make from the beginning to the end of a project. Oh. And it's like 10,000 decisions.
Yeah.
And it's insane because you almost get so used to it.
Yeah.
And it's like at some point it does feel like a little bit like analysis paralysis where you're like, oh my God, there's so much information. Like, but that's why we have those phases. And that's why you take it, you know, by a schedule, you figure it out.
So how long do some of these projects take you?
So the project À l'Ouest, I believe we designed for about 6 to 8 months.
And you say we, how many people are working on that?
Myself and a support person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
6 to 8 months. And then just for the plans.
Just for the plans. Then you submit for permit.
Okay.
And the permitting process probably took around 6 to 8 months. And then construction takes, this one I think is going to take about 8 months.
So you're looking at a year and a half around from when they contact you to start this. So they've already looked at a space and and then those okay. So you're looking at a year and a half to 2 years. Wow.
Yeah.
And
that one was pretty quick, I feel like. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So like specifically, when you're designing, like you're in your head, you're picturing where the bar's going to go, the doors, the bathroom, the tables, like all that stuff. What, and the kitchen too?
Everything. It's all connected.
So you have to have, in order to do what you're doing, you have to have some pretty intensive restaurant knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked in restaurants since I was 15. I don't think I could design a fucking kitchen.
You know, you'd be surprised though. Well, the thing is that it's never a single person's job, right? You have to stay super curious because even the layout of kitchens have evolved immensely in the last couple decades. And the most important thing is just to ask the questions, right? You need to be talking to the people who are going to be using the space. You need to be understanding workflow. You need to be understanding how this person is interacting with this person, back of house versus front of house. It also has to do with efficiency, right? You don't want somebody taking 12 extra steps than they need to for service, especially when you're busy. So all of that stuff affects the customer experience and it affects the worker, right? Because if the worker is burnt out because he's running around back and forth all the time, everyone can feel that. And it goes back to like the mental state of everybody. It's all connected.
Yeah. So it's so interesting because like your design process really can change the efficiency of a restaurant.
Oh, absolutely.
Which changes the energy from the staff to the customers, which is which has to do with people coming in and spending money in the profit. So it's like,
yeah. And you also want to design a space that people want to work at.
Yeah.
Right. And the longevity of your customer retention is almost equally as important as your employee retention, right?
Yeah.
So you want to keep those people around, just like we talked about earlier, the familiar faces that you come and say hi to and that have worked there for years. You've worked at your place for years. You're a familiar face. So that stuff is really important.
It's really important. So I'm currently reading a book. It's funny because I first got in touch with you because Marina actually was posting your page on her social media. And then I was like, oh, this is the person who designed Kiku Room. And I was like, I kind of looked through your Instagram and I saw you posted something about that book, Unreasonable Hospitality.
Love that book.
So I started reading it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm on like chapter 7. I started reading it this past week. And one thing, it's about the guy who, he didn't start 11 Madison Park, in New York City, but he was the general manager. And
he took over.
He took over. And when he was there, they were voted the #1 restaurant in the world.
Yeah.
And he talks about his process and what they focused on. And through the first couple chapters, what he talks about is he focused it's about the connectivity.
Yeah.
With the people. It's like, we want to give you the best experience you have ever had.
Yeah.
And he says part of the ways they did that was he treated his staff like they were the best people ever. Better than the customers, better than his investors. He said, if you treat your staff and you connect and put that energy towards your staff, they will then push it out towards the customers, and that's how you create that elevated experience.
Yeah, it's kind of like that pay it forward mentality.
Yeah.
Right? And it really does all come from the top. I mean, people kind of push this grassroots thing, and I believe it to an extent, but I think that it doesn't really work that way in businesses. Like, you have to lead by example. You have to be, the person who is dotting your I's and crossing your T's, and then people mimic your behavior. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's we are innately creatures of mimicry, right? Like even from apes and everything, and it's so important. And even with Kiku Room, I feel like it's so important for us to be there because we know that we are now role models. It's kind of scary. It goes back to the imposter syndrome. But if you just do the good thing and you lead by example, good things will happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to think about. Yeah.
Are you liking that book?
I do like the book. So parts of it I like. I think he's that's like fine dining.
Yes, it is.
And
the amusement park roller coaster Walt Disneyland of let me bring Christmas to you. I
don't have any experience in that.
Yeah.
And I work at an Irish bar. And I've worked in sports bars and nightclubs, so it's like totally fucking different. But I think it's cool. Like I respect all aspects of the industry. I think in the bartending world, there's like a battle between like dive bartenders and mixologists where they both think each other one sucks and they're like, we're better than you. And
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, I don't really do that shit. I think, I know mixologists who are like super hardworking, knowledgeable, good people. And I know people work at dives who are like the nicest, kindest, hardest. So I don't really do the compare thing.
Yeah.
I will say that like, I think he's very like the way he talks, he's very elevated. And I'm listening to the audiobook.
Yeah.
So
is it his voice?
It's him. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just read the book. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's not really my train of thought. He talks about going to the Four Seasons and he got his Brooks Brothers blazer. And it's just like, it's not really relatable to my path.
Yeah.
You know what I fucking really connected with is this book, Kitchen Confidentials.
With Anthony Bourdain. Yeah.
Fucking Anthony Bourdain. This shit is definitely more my speed.
Yeah.
I connection with
I think I've read like 30 pages. I need to pick that back
this
up.
book is all about the realities that go on in restaurants and kitchens.
Absolutely.
And I've never worked in a kitchen, but like 90% of the stuff he talks about in this book is fucking his own experience.
It's like a beautiful mess of like excitement and chaos. And going back to like my parents' pizza place, I just remember being like 8 years old and it's a Friday night and it's so busy and there's chaos happening, but there's also like this weird connection with your team of like, we did it at the end and everyone's like so stoked and you split the tips and, everyone kind of goes home and you're fucking exhausted and you're like, I'll see you tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Do it all over again. Yeah. I think those are some of the best memories I have from working in restaurants is the lights up, staff out, you're counting money. You're having a shift drink, the banter, everybody, when I was in New Jersey, I used to work at this bar called the Whiskey Priest and it was over COVID and we worked these crazy long hours and it was a sports bar nightclub. So by the time you get everybody out, everyone's exhausted, gassed, you're in a bad mood. You got waitresses going at the bar backs and they're fucking screaming, like go get me a case of Heineken, bitch. And it's like people are screaming, we're laughing and you're taking shots. And it's like when you're like exhausted lying, after a long, heavy shift is when the true emotion and everything kind of comes out.
Absolutely. And you're like, I don't know if I should be scared.
Yeah. It's like, I think that when you work in a restaurant, you do have that like connection with people. It's not this like corporate environment. Some of them are.
Yeah.
Fine dining places, the hotels are. But when you work for the mom and pops and the small businesses and you get your ass handed to you, you just like everybody, it's like a different kind of connection with people.
It is. Well, it's also like very emotional, and the design world is also very emotional and people get very tied to their design and constructive criticism is hard for some people. You know what I mean? Even hearing it from your client or your coworker or whoever you're designing with. So it's good to, again, get humbled and be reminded that let's be open,
It's a very humbling industry.
Oh, for sure.
The restaurant industry is very fucking humbling. And that's why, like...
everyone should do it.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've said this before. I think everyone should do 6 months work in a restaurant, 6 months in the military. Our country would be
do your time.
Do your fucking time, dude. And I've never been in the military, but I think that would change a lot of people's minds. And that's why I try to just be like open and honest on here and talk about some of the bullshit that I've been through in life because like I know that from a professional standpoint, we're here to serve and to make it about other people, but like if you've spent your career working in a restaurant, there's just so much dysfunction and chaos that goes through it.
I mean, I remember hearing stories about some of my parents' employees like using drugs during work shifts. And at the time when I was young, I was, you don't really understand it. But then you grow up and you're like,
oh, I understand it now.
I understand. I mean, it's rough,
Well, hold on. It's what it is the years. So it's when you're selling alcohol, like there's a lot of drugs that exist in these big cities in Southern California and these party, we work in the party. We're part of the party.
We're part of the party.
So it's really careful. The lines get blurred sometimes. And that's why in the gas lamp, you have a lot of these bars that are strict, sober, no take. If you get caught having a sip of alcohol, you're fired on the spot.
Yeah.
And I understand that because
it's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope. And there is, look, I'm not going to show you, there's so much drugs that exist in the restaurant industry, from from customers coming in doing coke in the bathroom to, people who are doing drugs and taking shots. And it's like, if you don't monitor that and you don't be careful with that, it can fuck up your life.
Yeah.
It can fuck up your bar. And that's when things go south and people get into fights and people have sexual harassment lawsuits and people quit on the spot. And it's like, if you run this loose circus, it can fucking happen. And I've seen it at bars happen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm not someone who advocates for like sober bartending or like strict military stuff. But it's like, dude, I've seen it so many times. If you don't know what you're doing, shit can get out of hand so fast.
Yeah, we actually just had this conversation like a couple weeks ago of how do we want to run Kiku Room, and it's difficult because it goes back to like the industry thing, and we want to have connection and community. And if somebody that you haven't seen in a while comes in, you give them a shot, you make them feel comfortable. But like, again, going back to leading by example and like, don't get high on your own supply. Yeah.
I think John Taffer had a really great line. He said, if you were a drug addict, you wouldn't get a job as a pharmacist. If you're an alcoholic, don't start a bar.
Oh God.
Or something like that. Like something like, I can't remember the quote specifically, but it's like, dude, like, these are real things that exist in the industry.
Yeah.
And I think what I've learned is like, earn your fucking respect. Part of the hospitality industry, whether you're at a hotel or a restaurant, is people who are there to spend a lot of money and are great customers. We can buy them a drink. We can buy them a shot. We can extend a free, discount to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But that gets it can get out of hand. And it's like a, earn your respect kind of thing. And
absolutely.
And what I hear in my experience is so many people, do you know how much money over the years, do you know how much money we spend here? Why don't you take care of us more and shit like that? It's like, there is this battle between like customers and the people who are in charge working the bar of, why aren't I getting a discount? Why aren't you taking care of me? And if you are somebody who just completely like kills that line and just gives the bar away, that culture can fucking snowball. So you got to keep those standards high.
I mean, we just had our first event last night where we had to charge cover, and I worked the door for a portion of the night. And money is such a weird taboo thing that people don't really want to talk about. But I do think that when you're transparent about it, it removes a little bit of the discomfort, right? So charging your friends is not easy, right? People come to the door, they're your friends. But if you explain to them, we have to pay this DJ
$100 billion.
It's like, maybe there's a little bit more empathy and understanding in the process, but it is an uncomfortable thing.
So everything you're talking about is so real.
It's so real.
Maybe we'll take out, is that really the number? We'll take that number.
It's around there.
It's around there. Okay, whatever. We'll take that out. But anyways, the reality is, if they were your friends, they would want to support you in your business.
Yes.
And that's what I tell if I'm going to go visit somebody, I'm there to support you.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking to just get freebies and discounts and like go out for a free meal.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, you guys are running a small business. Mm-hmm. You're not working for some capitalistic big hotel chain or this big like restaurant chain or something like that. It's like this is a family owned business. This money goes into like pay your guys' rent and things like that. Keep the lights on. Yeah. And I think that's what you're talking about is probably, we deal with it at Stout Public House.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with it at other restaurants, and it's like, why aren't I? And it's a business, and and it's like the balance between taking care of people and keeping that standard high, where you're still making money, you're not getting fucking robbed. Yeah. So like, I don't know. That's just my experience.
You have bills to pay.
You have bills to pay, dude. Yeah. And I see it because there are bars that just, you go in and nobody has tabs and everybody's drunk and it's like a zoo.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, sometimes those are fun bars to go to, but is that a thing of longevity?
For sure.
And it's like, dude, you guys are you're 6 weeks into this club. Like, let's talk 6 years from now. And I can only imagine the challenges and the things you've learned and all those things. And it's like it's a learning experience, dude.
It is. I really think it's going to go on that learning aspect for a very long time. I mean, even in the architecture industry, I'm still learning. Like there's new shit every fucking week, you know, and it's ever changing and ever evolving in the sense of like, there's new materials that come out that clients might be like, have you heard of using this blah, blah, blah corkboard? And you kind of have to be like on your game, you know what I mean? And if you're not, you got to be like, I've heard of that. Let me go look into that a little bit deeper, see if it's suited for us. But it's the same thing in the bar industry. There's new drinks, there's new cocktails. It's competitive in that whole mixology thing. Like, how can we stay relevant? It's just this circle. But I think that's what makes it fun, because if it was the same shit every day, we probably wouldn't like it. Let's be real.
Yeah. So it's funny because the neighborhood bar that I work at is like that. It's the same. It's like we don't. So I work for. There's two owners. One's from Ireland, one's from Canada, and they're like it's like an old school pub. And the way the culture is in Ireland, growing up with these bars and restaurants, is like no. We're gonna do what we do. We are not moving or budging for anybody. And that's how these guys have run this bar, and that's why I think it has the unique clientele, is because people like it because they are. People say they're stuck in their ways, but that's like a pro or a positive to what we're doing.
Well, it's familiar, right? So people know what to expect, and I think people will find immense comfort in that, right? Like you look up an Irish pub and you're like, I know what I'm getting. I'm going there. I'm going to get, a Guinness. I'm going to sit. The wood's going to be like run down. The floor's probably going to be sticky. The bathroom lock probably doesn't work. And you know what? I'm going to stay for a couple hours.
And I'm going to talk to the bartender, and we're going to talk about real stories.
Yes.
It's like a real conversation.
You know what to expect. Yeah.
And that's what I love about my job. But what you guys are doing, the club and the cocktails, and it's just a totally different version of the industry. And it's like some people would totally want to go to see you guys, and some people it's the other way around, where they go, I want to go sit and just talk to somebody, Yeah. And it's perfect. I think it's good to mix it up. I can't, I like to talk to people when I'm out. I just like to sit down and just actually, it depends on my mood. Sometimes after a long shift, I don't want to fucking talk to anybody.
I like to observe people.
Me too.
I like to just sit and it's interesting, even with Kiku Room, it's like some nights are date nights and people come in, they sit in twos, and you can read that atmosphere very well. They get one or two drinks, they go get dinner. Some people come back. And Saturday night is very different than a Tuesday night, right? And then how people use this space is so interesting. Sometimes the back room is super packed. Sometimes the front room is super packed. And I'm just trying to figure out why, because our brains naturally, you see a puzzle, you're trying to figure out how to put the last piece in. Yeah. So that's what I'm constantly trying to do and analyze.
I'm the same way. I think that's like our creative brains trying to figure these things out. Yeah. With the podcast, with the bar, the restaurant, I like to go out, check out new spots, and I went to, there's this great Italian restaurant, Bejo, called Sardinia's.
I don't know if I've been.
It's been around for like 50 years. It's family owned.
Okay.
The son is behind the bar working.
Okay.
And when I go in there, I usually go Sunday nights they do happy hour for Sunday night football. Mm-hmm. And when I sit at the bar, I'm the youngest person there by like 25 years.
Oh, I love that. They're like, look at your skin. Tell me your secrets.
and it's just like it's very really good, inexpensive food, Italian food. And I remember I was just sitting down next to this couple, and they had to be in their late 70s, early 80s, and they were having a vegan pizza. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, hi, how are you? And I'm like, oh, let's go, nice pizza.
So
she goes, oh, our doctor said we got to get rid of dairy, but we still like to come out and enjoy the time and get to know people and stuff. And when you work 40 hours a week behind a really busy bar, it's kind of nice to just go to a nice, calm, mellow restaurant.
Yeah, I agree.
And what I observe in those places is like the next generation, and this is what it's going to be like for us. Mm-hmm. And I love talking to old people because you learn about they'll tell you their story. They'll just sit down and
completely unbiased story too. They're going to give it to you straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love that. The connecting with people and the bartenders thing that you brought up is so real. We love to go to Juan Jasper, and you sit there and you can talk with the chef, and they're right there. They're not hidden in a room in the back and you never really see their face, but it's almost interactive. And it's nice because you talk to your boyfriend, your partner, your best friends all the time. But when you get to shoot the shit with somebody new that has, again, those stories, it's exciting.
You said, what restaurant is this where you're talking to the chefs in front of you? That's really cool.
Juan Jasper.
What kind of restaurant is that?
I think it's just like traditional American food, but Chef Mark has a couple things that he rotates on the menu and changes up a lot. And there's new desserts. He puts like 2 new desserts on the chalkboard like every week along with the daily specials. And it just got put on like San Diego Mag cover or something like that. And it's so funny because we went in and we talked to him after and he was like pissed about it. He's like, I don't want the notoriety, like I don't need that.
Yeah.
I want to stay this like small little shop. And it's funny because I originally was like, Mark, if you ever expand, you want to design something, like I'm your girl, like I got you. And he's like, I don't want to expand. It's like, who told you that?
Bro, there is that like older, like, and that's the kind of place that I work for.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude, we're not doing any of that social media shit.
Yeah.
We cater to these people.
Yeah.
We know who's going to be there every day. And like, I saw, I don't know if you follow Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy does his pizza reviews.
One bite, you know the rules.
One bite, and you know the rules. And he went into this place recently, and the owner was like, "Dude, don't put my name in the thing. I don't want the fucking media
because he has a lot of followers.
If that crowd comes in, I'm not going to be able to tailor to the regulars."
Interesting.
And so he was like, "Do the review. Don't put my name in." And it's like that's kind of is almost like that restaurant that you're talking about now is, yeah, dude. There are these great local mom and pop places that don't have the social media advertising or the money or the things, and it's like finding those places is really cool.
Exactly. Underneath like the secrets.
Yeah. It's just like I don't know. There's so many different the restaurant industry and the bars and restaurants. It's a cool industry, dude. Just exploring it and getting to know it.
I mean, it's like a sport out here in California.
Yeah,
it is.
It's competitive.
It's competitive. Well, and for the user. Oh, did you go to the new bar? Oh, do you know the new restaurant? Oh, have you been up
to... That's like
to...
status and hype and shit.
But they treat it like a sport.
They do.
I've never experienced that until I moved to California.
Really?
No, I did not. In Colorado, everyone's like, which 14er did you hike last weekend? Like we're competitive in the nature aspect, but this is different. Right. Oh my God. I was like completely shocked that grown men were asking each other, did you check out the new restaurant? Like for some reason in my mind, that was so foreign.
Yeah, well, so we come from the Northeast and you have Greek roots.
Yeah.
So the Southern California way is a little different.
It's very different.
And there's pros and cons to both. And we don't have to do the thing. I feel like I bring on a bunch of people. My last guest, Eliza, was from Massachusetts. So we kind of did this too. And Marina's from, New York and Connecticut and has roots in Brazil. But it's cool, man. I mean, there's pros and cons. People love to party out here, bro.
I love California. I'm never leaving.
It's
expensive. I love New England,
California,
but I'll never move back.
It's just, what I noticed? The obsession with partying out here is like real. And it's not a bad thing. Yeah. But it's like, I met this guy recently who's just like, he works in a bar. I was talking to him. I want him to come on the podcast. He's a great bartender. He's doing all this other cool stuff outside. We're having coffee. And he's like, dude, if I don't tell, he was like, don't tell anybody, but I would do this even if I didn't get paid. He's like, I would come to work and work this job and for no money. I just love it. I love to party.
Oh man.
And I was like,
good for
whoa,
him.
Dude.
The dedication is so real.
And he's a great guy. He's not a burnout. He's not some like sketchy dude. He's like a good dude. And you meet a lot of people like that out here.
You do.
And that's cool. I think and those are probably a lot of those people are coming out to dance and to like spend time at Kiku Room and stuff like that.
I hope so.
Yeah,
come
dude.
dance with it. I mean, the thing is like, I'm in my middle 30s and I still love it. Like I was there last night and, stopped drinking after like 10:30, 11 and I'm still vibing, just dancing. I went home at 1:30 in the morning and my body was like still positively vibrating because I was just like so many smiles and so many people just like moving their body just like makes me so happy.
That's cool. I think that's really great. I kind of get that shit, but it's like negative. So
you get the opposite.
I come home and I'm like still like I wake up in the morning and my head just turns on like I'm still at work.
Yeah.
And it's like manic drive and depression. So that's cool that you get it in a positive way.
Well, I mean, it's positive and I mean, you wake up and you're still exhausted, but we're still trying to figure out that balance.
Yeah. It's balance.
Yeah.
It's balance. This podcast is about balance. I think life is about balance. Some people need to go fully strict military one way, but it's a cool thing, dude. I'm sure I can only imagine what it feels like starting a bar like you guys are doing. I wish you guys nothing but luck, and
Thank you.
I enjoy coming there. We'll keep coming. We'll keep visiting you guys. What's nice is I get out a little early on Mondays. Sometimes I've been going
Industry
over
night.
and visiting Seth after my shift on Mondays.
Love that.
But what else, dude? I mean, is there anything? There's so much things we could talk about. Manifesting emotion through space, transforming a feeling into form.
We didn't talk about that, but that is something that I think is very poetic and real. And I'm not like your most like frou-frou woo-woo person, but I do really feel that architecture is like poetry frozen in time that is filled with like an energy source. You know, how you feel when you walk into a space. I always say that the front door is the most important part of a project because immediately when you walk in, that's the first portal really that transforms you into another story, right? So I always advocate for my projects to have really cool front doors, but sometimes it's not in budget, and that's okay. But how you feel when you first walk into a space, whether it's lighting, smell, somebody presenting themselves with you, a host, an overhead element that looks heavy, maybe it's light, how close the wall is to you when you walk in, how big the space is after. All of those things are like the coolest part about being a designer, because some people do really love the experiential shit, right? Like they do like the dark dining, or they do like the Instagrammable stuff, but you get to pick how you want to do it. And that's the coolest part.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get hit, when you open the door, you get hit by the sounds, the smell, and that like wave of energy of the bar.
I love it.
You know?
That like hustle bustle when you come in and it's like 7:30 dinner hour, and there's some people who are on a date. There's some people who are there for work. There's some people who are just sitting at the bar by themselves.
Yeah. Creating that atmosphere is so like, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And we get to do that, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, service-based industries in general are exhausting. And when you're doing something like this and you get to design a project, it is a privilege. I love it. And then the second one's over, honestly, before one's over, you're already working on something else. I have 7 active projects at the same time right now.
Wow.
And staying inspired is something that is the tough part, right? But that's why we go on trips to New York City and we go see other cities, and we try and collect as much research and knowledge that we possibly can, just to keep us going and keep us inspired. Because I see stuff. We were just in New York City last weekend. I see stuff and I get so inspired. And my first genuine feeling is I want to do shit like this for San Diego.
What inspired you in New York City that stood out to you that you remember?
There was this back room at Mr. Paradise that was like kind of like a private area, and it was like all red, and it was so sick. And it had, you know, this really cool lighting in there that felt a little bit like Blade Runner, but you feel something when you go there, right? It's about eliciting emotion, and that's what I want to do. That's the cool, when somebody walks in and they have that aha moment in your project, I think every designer is like, this is what I live for.
Yeah. Yeah. New York City, man, the history of that place. That's where I learned to bartend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I lived there. I started waiting tables there at 25. And then it was like a year, that next year I had part-time behind the bar. I remember the bartender, Matt, it was a snowstorm, and he had to stay home and watch his kid. And he said, just throw fucking Taylor back there. And then boom, I was introduced to New York City, Greenwich Village bartending.
There you go.
With no training, just thrown to the wolves. And then here we are. I'm fucking 34 and I'm hosting a bartending podcast. You never know.
I love it.
But yeah, dude, the architecture up there, it's the energy of that city, dude. And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. But what I was saying earlier about the service-based industry is like, the burnout and the exhaustion is real, but trying to be reminded why you do what you do is so important. I feel like I haven't gotten to that part yet where I'm over it by any means. I'm so far from that. I feel like I'm just getting started. You know what I mean? And I have like so much fire in me to just make cool shit while I'm like quote unquote young, you know, like you work your whole life as a junior architect, intern, support designer to get to where I am right now. And I feel super fortunate that I have clients that trust me. Like, thank you to all of them. And I'm really just getting started.
Is there like a dream project you have or a concept or something you were trying to work up to in the next, like, because
I would love to do a full new construction restaurant, like full outside shell, everything. A lot of what we do here in Southern California is like tenant improvement projects, right? A developer built a building. Here's your 4,000 square feet. You can't really change the exterior. I would love to do a project ground up. It's hard because it's a lot more money and there's, you know, a budget that's maybe double. But having the exterior envelope mimic what's happening inside would be
so you're talking about taking a foundation and building a bar from, or is it a restaurant? Do you want to stick with that, or do you want to do other things?
I love that right now.
Yeah.
Who knows how I'm gonna feel in 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
I love also working on residential projects because that part is so emotionally tied, right? People have real opinions about what they want to do with that space. So single family residential and like hospitality is where I'm at right now, but dream project would probably be a ground up restaurant somewhere.
Ground up restaurant. Okay. And is there a certain kind of concept that you would want to do?
I don't think so. I think that getting creative off of somebody else's story is what gets me going. Like
working with somebody, feeling them out.
Give me an inch and I'll run a mile with it. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way with this podcast. I can't do this by myself. I need you to be here. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's teamwork.
It's tough to create. I've tried to sit in my room by myself and make these videos, dude. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's so much easier when you're working with somebody else.
It's like having a normal conversation. Yeah, it's teamwork, dude. You can't do anything alone.
Yeah.
You know, running a bar alone, starting a project, it's tough.
That part is crazy too. Like the concept of just trusting people. It's like, oh my goodness.
That's what I've always said. One of your biggest things about yourself is like trust. If people can't trust you, you're fucking dead in the water in this industry.
Exactly.
And building that trust takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time and going through bullshit with people and being like, does this person have my back? Because it's easy to sit here and be like, oh, I love you, man. You're so great. We're fucking buddies.
Yeah.
And then when something bad happens, what happens?
They're not your buddy.
Because I've had that experience with some people.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, even in the design world too, your client has to trust you. Mm-hmm. They have to trust you for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's that, you know, you're there to serve them. And then after the project's done, you know, they're the word of mouth that can give you the next project. And to have to wait 2 years to get to something real to show in your portfolio is wild.
It's the referral. It's like, after those 2 years, what is this person going to say about me and how I did my job?
Exactly. How did they think of me?
It goes both ways.
Yeah. And
you could bash that person too.
Oh, for sure. But you know what's crazy is like at the end of 2 years, when you're at the end of construction, the tension is never higher than, when the construction was supposed to end, right? Every construction schedule gets delayed, every single project I'm on. And it's understandable. You know, there's things that happen. There's materials that have long lead times. Subcontractors didn't show up, et cetera. But the tensions are always very high at the end, you know? And that's when you have to push to really try and keep that high mentality going of like, we're a team, let's go. We cannot start pointing fingers now because it's not going to get us anywhere.
The emotional finger pointing and blaming.
It happens at the end of most projects, but you kind of have to learn how to be a little bit of a mediator, you know, because I'm hired by the client, not the general contractor. The GC is hired by the client as well. So we both work for the same person. Yeah. You know?
The ability to negotiate and to become almost like a police officer or a lawyer.
Oh my God.
Like in the bar industry,
real.
That's a huge part of my job.
Yeah.
Is mediating with customers. So the food was bad. You had an incident with the drink, incident with the server. Like when you're in charge, you turn into a fucking lawyer on the spot real fast.
I know. And I grew up with my mom always kind of saying that the customer's right. You know, my parents were always just give them the extra cheeseburger, sandwich, whatever, who cares? You know, like that's a customer that we want to take care of.
Yeah.
We're not going to reject them just because maybe we fucked up. Maybe we didn't fuck up their sandwich. Who knows? You know what I mean? Is that one argument worth it? That's what it was always like about.
The people who I've always worked for, if they're complaining about the food, just take it off the bill.
Just do it.
That's what we like.
It's the right
so
thing
many
to
things
do.
people can complain about. It's like it's really important. It's everything's situational, but like, oh, you had bad wings. Why don't you know what? You come back next time. If it was on the phone or something, the wings were bad. Let me buy you another round.
Yeah.
Let me get you another round. You come in, I'll take care of it for you.
I believe
find
in that.
a way to like get that, like turn that poor customer, you know? And I mean, look, I work outside the gas lamp district, and I'm dealing with like really people who come in who are over intoxicated, and I have to ask them to leave. I mean, that's like a daily thing. But I mean, like, you got to have that antenna of like, what's going on here? It's like, and that comes from experience, you know, and being able, it's like psychology.
It is.
And repetition with people and how people interact and things like that.
Yeah. I always said if architecture didn't work out, I wanted to be a psychologist. And I took a bunch of psychology classes in architecture school because we were allowed to pursue like a minor.
Yeah.
And I always took art and psychology classes.
Well, it seems like those two kind of go hand in hand from everything that
They
you're saying.
totally do. All of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's as a bartender, it's like all psychology.
Yeah. You just have to learn how to read people.
It's about people. Well, it's not even learn. It's like observe. Like whether you're an artist, bartender, like I'm like you said, you go out to eat. When I'm at work, I'm just always observing people. I can tell who comes through the door, whether I'm gonna have a problem with it or not, very fast.
Yeah,
it's by their body language. And how they carry themselves. Yeah. It's just like, you know, and it's like, I had this dude come in the other day. He's from like Wisconsin. He's like, hey, let me get a Miller Lite. How much is that? $6 for a Miller Lite?
Oh,
like,
God.
What? Are you kidding me? Like, $2.50 where I'm coming from. This is so angry that we charge $6 for a Miller Lite. And I said, I just talking to the guy. He's like, you know, being rude, insulting the city, the bar, this place. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, talk to me about it, bro. Like, tell me about where you're from. Hey, he ended up ordering another one.
Of course he did.
You know?
Some people just like to complain, though. I've learned that also. Just let them complain. Let them get it out.
Roll with it.
Yeah.
Roll with it. And you have fun. Like, I was like, entertaining for me. I'm sitting here.
And you have a choice. Like, are you going to let it affect you negatively?
Yeah.
And hopefully not.
Yeah, people are fucking so weird. So we kind of talked about some of your future projects, creative evolution. Like, I guess, like, do you have a legacy that you want to leave with your designs?
You know, when I saw that question on there, I really thought long and hard about it because it goes back to like my parents, and they created this restaurant, this pizza shop that they didn't want their kids to inherit. It's the hustle, and it's a service-based industry. And it's so ironic now that we own a bar and we're back at it like decades later. And even the architecture, the service-based industry, the idea of like legacy in general is really about how you make people feel, I think. You know, like if there's anything to pass on or leave as an imprint with my design, that's hopefully, you know, up for decades or however many years. I just hope that people can go to a place where they feel comfortable and they feel safe and a little bit inspired.
Fuck yeah, a lot inspired.
A lot inspired. Well, you know, sometimes the budgets are not all frou-frou, you know, all crazy, but still you can do little things that will inspire people. Yeah.
So I have one more question. Like, all right, what is something you would tell a young high school student who's thinking about becoming an architect?
I hate this question. I hate it because it's like, here's the thing. I've never done anything else this long, right? I worked in my parents' pizza place when I was 14. I was a server at like an old people's home for a couple years in high school. In college, I started my architecture internships, and I've just been doing that ever since. And I think what I would tell somebody is take some time to understand what you're good at. Because if you are in an industry as an adult and it's still not picking up for you, other people will probably absorb it and they will read that pretty quick on you, right? So self-introspection is so important. Understanding what skill you have to give back to the world listen to that, right? If you're really good at making people feel comfortable, do something, again, service-based. If you are an analytic, go work in, data, economics, something like that. But people really need to find the time to think about what they're good at. And another thing that's really tricky about how our system works in our education system is that we go to architecture school and we learn like architectural theory, and we don't actually learn the day-to-day of what an architect does. I would encourage people to go shadow people more in the real world. If it's like your parents' friend or whoever, somebody that you know about, shadowing people is such a harsh reality sometimes of like, oh my God, you're drawing window schedules for days? Like, that's insane, So just getting out there and doing that thing of observing and asking yourself the questions is so important, because by the time you're done the education, you've already done 5 years and you've paid thousands of dollars. You better like it. You know what I mean?
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to pivot.
It is hard to pivot. I try to think of like myself. I was always a athlete. So I like, there's a goal. You got to try to reach a goal.
Yeah.
And that's sort of similar with like restaurants, like this table. I got to get to move as fast as I can through this restaurant.
Yeah.
Try to make them like me as much, have a good experience.
And get to the end goal.
Hopefully they have a fucking tip. And like, that's how I started. And like, it sort of shifted as I've gotten older and looked into this industry. It's just like, I'm trying to be more outward.
Yeah.
And be like, let me make this experience for you guys,
Yeah.
And like, I'm just going to be here. But
because you live so much in your own head already.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Exes used to call me neurotic and all this shit. Fucking real. That's very real.
Shout out.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole, like, it's so funny because I was terrible at I failed every English class I ever took. And so to do like a language-based fucking thing, like what we're doing now, is like, I'm like, why did I do this?
I get that.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's like, you're drawn towards what you're afraid of, Mm-hmm. So I think that's sort of why I do it. Because like, I was always like, I got A's in math and all those things, and I did nothing with that career.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, English was not my first language, so I would never get into that.
Really?
No.
Oh, you learned...
I was an ESL kid, the English as a second language kid, and my parents are very Greek. Their English was so poor when I was young, and I was always in a different, like, you get pulled out of the class to learn separate ESL, things like that. So I don't think English would have ever been anything for me.
So you speak fluent Greek?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Do you speak any other languages?
No, I mean, I knew a little bit of French from just growing up in Maine. We had to take French class.
Yeah.
So I could probably like understand more than I could probably say, but.
Damn. That's cool.
Thanks.
I have one last question for you.
Okay.
Unless there's anything you would like to talk about. I was trying to prep, I was trying to find some books on architecture to like look at before, bringing you on here. Do you have any recommendations for people who are interested that like, I don't know, anything that stand out, like a cool book on architecture somebody could look at?
It's called Welcome to Your World.
Welcome to Your World. Okay.
Yes. And it was about understanding how the built environment affects you as a person. And it's not necessarily like an architecture book. I think it kind of leans a little bit on the psychological aspect as well. But it goes back to those two studies for me are hand in hand. So anything that's a mix of like design space and like your mental state and your psyche, like I want to read about it.
Yeah, it seems like there's a big similarity between those two things.
Yeah. Yeah. I read that book quite a long time ago, so maybe it's time to read it again.
So I was a little confused, like design and architecture, kind of the same thing?
So when it comes to careers, there's interior designers and then there's architects. Okay. So a lot of the times the architect comes through, they do all like the code analysis and they make sure that the building is safe when it comes to, ADA, fire access, things like that. And then the interior designer usually will come in and they do the finishes. So like, is this wood? Is this steel? What material is that fabric? What are we painting that wall? But what I learned when I came to work at Basile Studio is that they taught people to be like all in one. right?
Yeah.
Be everything, right? And I came from an architecture background, so they were more of an interiors studio.
Okay.
So that helped me learn more about interiors, and now I offer like both services, right? So I'm an architect and I do the interior design package all by myself.
It's got to be a lot.
It's a lot, but why would you design the shell of something just to give it to somebody else to finish it?
Oh, totally true.
You know what I
with that
mean?
creative
Like,
control.
I
like
want
we
to
talked
start
about.
it and I want to finish it. Like I want to do it all.
So are you like thinking about like when you're designing a space and the bar and the table? Are you thinking about what kind of tables and the booths and the
All the
chairs?
time.
That's fucking cool. Where do you like outsource? Where do you get all those things? Like, is there like
Where do we buy them?
where do you buy like tables for a restaurant? Is it like mom and pop stores? Is there some big company you can get? Or is it IKEA? Like,
I mean, there are like local Southern California fabricators who make like, I think it's called like cafetables.com or things like that you can get like off the shelf ones. But if you want to go custom, which a lot of people do want to go custom, you work with local fabricators.
local fabricators.
Yeah. The general
Okay.
contractor will know a guy usually who has a water jet machine that can cut you a unique edge detail on a slab,
They'll
right?
they'll build those for you.
Yeah.
Interesting, dude.
Yeah.
There's just so much there with the fabric and the height. Like,
There's so much.
furniture design is like a whole nother thing, you know?
10,000 decisions. That's what I'm saying.
I know, dude. Oh,
It's probably
a lot.
more.
I think it's cool though, because when you go into a bar, you feel that. I mean, you
sure.
feel the personal touch on the chairs that you sit in, the tables, the fucking,
Yeah.
the back bar, the like everything.
Yeah.
It's all so many little details, and that's what makes it really unique and cool.
And
Personal.
that's why I love it.
Well, Ralitsa, thank you very much.
Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate you.
I
I
had
thought
so
this
much fun.
This is a really great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cool.